Hello everyone, today I'm here to do another recent read. So I feel like I haven't done one all month, but here we are, and they're all three completely different genres. So what these videos are just three recent reads that I've read. I tell you what the book is about, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and what I rated it. They're all non-spoilers, spoiler-free I guess you could say. So it's just to help you figure out if you want to read the book or not. So the three books I will be talking about today are Finlay, I keep wanting to say Finlay. Finlay Donavan is Killing It by El Cosmeno. This is a mystery thriller. Then we have The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan, which is a historical novel. And then we have If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, which is an adult romance. There will be timestamps down below as well as in the card, so if you want to hear about one particular book, you can go to that particular book. Let's get into it. So the first book, like I said, is Finlay Donovan's Killing It. This is an adult mystery thriller, very satire-y, very funny. It's been exploding here on BookTube, so that's why I decided to read it. And it definitely didn't disappoint. So this whole book follows the character, you guessed it, named Finlay, who she is an author. She writes a lot of mystery, like steamy mysteries, like erotic mysteries, I guess you could say. Mystery thrillers that have some adult times in them, I shall say. So that's what her job is. She's also a mom to two young kids, and she is divorced. So she is struggling at the beginning of this book. She doesn't know really how she can afford payments on her house, things like that. Things are estranged with her ex-husband, who she divorced because he cheated on her, and she's just trying to figure out like what to do. She's also trying to figure out what her next book is about, because if you're an author, you're on deadlines a lot. You have to meet with your agent and things like that, and she is behind. So basically the whole book starts with her going to meet her agent at a Panera, and she's kind of pitching her idea to her agent of her book of like this murder and things like that, and how this woman will cover up. And another woman that's in the Panera overhears her and suddenly thinks that Finlay is like a contract killer. So she leaves her a note with like her number and like the guy she wants killed and like all this stuff. And Finlay's like, you know, like, what's going on? Like, I'm not a killer. I'm just an author. I write about killings. I don't actually do them, but it's for a good chunk of money. So she's like, maybe I should check this out. And then that's how the book kind of goes. So like I said, it's very satire-y, very funny. It's all about her being a single mom trying to juggle this with like trying to make money and also being like mistaken for a contract killer. You know, that's everyday stuff, right? But I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's funny. It's going to be a series. The book leaves definitely off on a cliffhanger, which I didn't mind at all. And I will definitely continue off the series. It was just a fun time. If you like mystery thrillers that maybe aren't, if you don't want ones that are too scary and too like gory and things like that, if you want one that's got a little bit of humor with it, I think this would be a great book for you to read. And maybe if you're just tired of like kind of the gore and things like that and you just want a funnier one, again, this is a great book. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air when it comes to mystery thrillers. There, you know, it was kind of like a cozy mystery, but not quite, I guess you could say. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a good time. I laughed several times. I understood her trials and tribulations with motherhood. I loved how she got in this business of being a contract killer and like, you know, deciding to do this and how she fell into it and just how insane it got. This book definitely is a book that like, there's very unrealistic scenarios that you're just like, no, there's just no way. But it was a fun time. If you just want a fun satire like mystery thriller, this is a great book to pick up. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I could see why there are so many people that really love it. Next up is my historical book, and that is The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. So I picked this up mainly because the cover is beautiful, and when I read the synopsis, I was like, I really want to read this. I'm not a big historical reader. I'm really not. I say that, and my favorite book of all time is a historical novel, so I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but I just don't read a ton of them. I'm not really drawn to them a ton, but sometimes I am, much like the case with this one. So this book takes place in World War II in England, and basically in this book we follow 4 women, and it is during the time in the war where a lot of food is rationed. Like everything is rationed. Like even at the beginning of this book, it tells you the rations for like a particular week here, and it just says for one adult per week. And so basically these women have to figure out what to do with their rations because they're small. Like I'm talking about like, this is for one person, 8 tablespoons of butter. Oh no, 4 tablespoons of butter and 8 tablespoons of margarine. Like that's how much they can have every single week. And you know, it's just, it's rough because of the war and things like that. So the whole whole book is about these 4 women that are going through these rations, and there's this radio program called The Kitchen Front that is designed to help women to cook with their rations, to figure out like how to make the best with your rations. And there's this contest they decide to come up with where 4 women will enter, and whoever wins will get to be the first ever female host of the Kitchen Front, which obviously is a very big deal because it's during World War II, so a lot of women aren't working. That has not entered, like, you know, the field yet. So like I said, we follow 4 different women that are totally different, that are competing in this competition. They have to cook like a whole meal. They have to cook like an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, all within the rations. And so, yeah, that's what the book is about. I loved it. It is an underrated book that I haven't heard like anybody talk about it. I saw it on, I think it was Desi's channel when I first saw this book, and I was like, oh, that looks so interesting. So I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but I think if you love historical books, number 1, this is a great one to read. And if you love books about like cooking and baking, both of those, because they do a fair amount of cooking and they do a fair amount of baking, this is a great one. Also, if you just love a good book about friendship, sisterhood, this is great because these women are so different. In fact, some of them have very much animosity towards each other, but they come together in the most beautiful ways and like rally behind one another and rally with each other and just try to make the best of it. Because one of the women has 3 kids and her husband has died of war. Another woman is pregnant and she's trying to hide because it's she's not married. Another woman's not doing well in a marriage. It's just all these women come from such different walks of life, but all have one common unity of trying to do better for themselves and also trying to just survive this war. And it was just a very easy read, because I know sometimes historical books can be a little muddled down, in my opinion, with historical things and all that stuff. I just like I said, I'm not like, I don't dislike historical books at all. I'm just not insanely drawn to them as much as other people are. But I thoroughly love this one. 4.5 out of 5. It might make my favorites of the year because of just how much I loved it and how there was different recipes in them and how it all came together at the end. Like I said, I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but would highly recommend. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was adorable and all of those things. And the last book is an ebook, and that is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. This is her first book in a new series that's called Meant to Be. And this first book, I don't know if they're all going to be retellings, but the first book was a Cinderella retelling. So this is an adult romance, and we follow main character Cindy, who is a plus-size woman, which I am always a fan of because I'm a plus-size woman myself. And basically she gets an opportunity to go on this show called Before Midnight, aka The Bachelor. You can get it. And so she is a contestant with like 30 other women trying to win the heart of this guy named Henry. But the only problem is she actually has already met Henry before. She met Henry on the plane ride before this all began, and there was an immediate attraction, and she's like, and then she figures out that he's the Before Midnight like bachelor, and she's like, oh man, I think I might actually really like this guy. And so she goes on the show to like kind of prove, you know, she wants to be a shoe designer. She also wants to prove that plus size women can find love too, which is always awesome. And that's kind of what the book is about. So this one really reminded me of another book I read last year called One to Watch by Kate Stayman London, that was kind of like based on The Bachelorette. This one's kind of The Bachelor. So I'd say if you're a big fan of like books about like reality show, especially reality dating shows, this one is a great one to read. I will say I did like One to Watch more. That's just my personal opinion, but I still did really enjoy this one. I love the fact that it was a very loosely based Cinderella retelling, and I also love the fact that the stepmother and the stepsisters weren't horrible people, because, you know, Cinderella, the stepmom, and the sisters are just like, you hate them. You hate them so much. But in this book, her stepmom and sisters are actually really kind. They love her. They care about her. They want the best for her. They have a good relationship, which was just so refreshing to read in a retelling that I was like, oh, I love this. So I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed Cindy as the main character. She was a woman that knew what she wanted. She loved her fashion and she loved designing stuff. She was amazing at it, and she knew that she was worthy of love, as every woman is. And it was just a really cute novel. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't fully there for me, but I would say if you just want like a cutesy book to read by the beach, because this does come out in August. I should have said that. It's coming out next month, so we're close. We're good. This is a great great one to do that. You'll fly through it. You'll be addicted of who's going to get sent home each week, who Henry's favorite is. I just wish the relationship between Henry and Cindy was a little bit more fleshed out. Like, it wasn't fully there for me 100%. It was almost there, but I wanted kind of more oomph from it, if you get what I'm saying. But like I said, this is a super cute book, and it's going to be a series. I don't know if the next book is going to be like Sleeping Beauty retelling or like a Snow White retelling. I don't know. I could guess it could probably go that way, but I will definitely be continuing on with this series because I love the representation of plus size women, and it was just fun. Like, I do, as much as like I love reading reality TV, like books, like dating books, but I don't watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I have no desire to watch them. So the fact that I like reading about them is very, very interesting. But nevertheless, I still enjoyed it. So there you have my thoughts and feelings on my 3 most recent reads. I would say my favorite out of these 3 is probably The Kitchen Front, because I just wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, but I thoroughly loved it, honestly. But all of them are great in their own ways. I would love to know if you've read any of these. Did I inspire you to read any of them? And yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.